Shalom, 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 and welcome to the Ways of Israel. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero with the Ways of Israel. We're going to take a look at today at Pidyon HaBen, the redemption of the firstborn, which is part of many rituals done in today's synagogue and communities. It's incumbent upon every Israelite father, every Jewish father, to fulfill the positive biblical precept to redeem from a Cohen the firstborn son of his mother. So if he's a firstborn son, it falls the obligation of the father to redeem his firstborn son. Now, that doesn't mean, and I'm going to go into some of this because I've already also covered this, whether it's a firstborn son of a convert, if it's a firstborn son of a person who's had more than one wife. We're going to take a look at that a little bit later within the series, hopefully. It was originally intended for the firstborn sons to constitute the priesthood. So technically speaking, the priesthood falls upon the firstborn son, and to be consecrated to the service of the Lord. For every firstborn among the children of Israel is mine, it belongs to God. I consecrated them to myself on the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt. Numbers chapter 8, verse 17. This was part of the concept that the firstborn of every living thing belongs to God, be it a man, be it a beast, or the first fruit. In the wake of Israel's backsliding in the incident of the golden calf, when the firstborn showed themselves unworthy of the priestly office, when only the tribe of Levi was not guilty of the sin, the Levites were chosen to replace the firstborn in the service of the sanctuary with Aaron and the descendants, all Levites becoming the Kohanim, the holy priesthood. And thus you shall set the Levites apart from among the children of Israel. And the Levites shall be mine in place of all the first issue of the womb, of all the firstborn of all of the children of Israel. In other words, the Levites take now the place of the firstborn. Numbers chapter 8, verse 14 through 6. Verse 14 through 16. Now I shall take the Levites instead of every firstborn among the children of Israel. Chapter 8, verse 18. Now, you may be a firstborn, but this ritual must be accomplished upon you because, technically speaking, you're now exempted from functioning as a firstborn or as a Levite. And thus it becomes very clear in the Torah that although you're firstborn, it doesn't mean that you technically have the rights of a firstborn. The Levites and the children of Israel have that right. And thus it's very important to understand this. And this is why the Pidyon HaBen is done in order to properly exempt the firstborn from that responsibility. But there's a unique thing of being firstborn, no doubt about it. Since initial firstborn had been the ones whose lives were being considered to be in the lifelong service of the Lord, they had to be formally redeemed from that role, and that redemption money turned over to the Cohen. The firstborn of man you shall redeem. This is a commandment. This is not if you want to be redeemed. No, shall be redeemed, which means you're no longer to function as a Cohen. Firstborn, you're no longer obliged to do this. Got to be redeemed. And from a month old shall you redeem them, starting from the month old. And the redemption money shall be according to your valuation. In this case, we read in the Torah, in chapter 18, verse 15 through 16, 5 shekels of silver. What is 5 shekels of silver? What is the worth of 1 shekel? Now you have to do 5 shekels in order to redeem. The ceremony at which the redemption takes place is called Pidyon HaBen. The beautiful idea upon which the redemption of the firstborn is based is that the first and the best of everything we earn or possess is due to the Lord as an offering. It belongs to the Lord, and not leftovers or mediocre that we possess. You know, this thing of giving after everything is shared. No. The whole idea in Judaism about giving has to do with the tops, the primary, the prime. To God belongs all the prime gifts. A Pidyon HaBen is required. The child is the firstborn of his mother, meaning that that child opens the womb. And the child is a male. So it's not for females. It's a male. The father is not a Cohen or a Levite, nor is the mother a daughter of a Cohen or a Levite. If any of the above condition is absent, the Pidyon HaBen ceremony is not performed. Example: the child is born from a non-Jewish woman and happens to be the firstborn. Technically speaking, it's born from a living being, so therefore should be set aside for the Lord. However, since the person is not among the tribe members, and not part of the tribesmen, that child, as well as the mother, would have to go through a conversion in order to be counted as Jews in Kalal Israel, but thus is exempt still of offering the Pidyon HaBen. So this does not apply to people, basically, who are not Jewish, who are in the process of converting. Now, if you tell me, well, the mother converted, and afterwards she had a child, and that was the firstborn child of her, then yes, it applies. If any of the above condition is absent, the Pidyon HaBen ceremony is not performed. A firstborn male child delivered by cesarean section is not required to have Pidyon HaBen, meaning it must be born through her womb. Firstborn male child who is born following a previous miscarriage by a mother does not require Pidyon HaBen. If the miscarriage took place after the 3rd month of pregnancy, the miscarriage took place during the first 40 days of pregnancy, a Pidyon HaBen for a son born afterwards is required. After 40 days and until such time as the fetus develops definite characteristics, the Pidyon HaBen is still required, but the blessing recited by the father is omitted. In such questions, the guidance of a rabbi should be sought. You're not sure? Call your rabbi. The Pidyon HaBen ceremony should be held on the 31st day following the birth of the child. Obviously, what happens before that? Right, the Brit Milah, the circumcision. So the day of the birth is counted as the first day. If the redemption is held before then, it is not valid and must be done again. The Pidyon HaBen is not held on Shabbat or festival or fast days. The 31st day should fall on any one of these days. The redemption takes place immediately upon the termination of these days. The duty of redeeming the child rests upon the father. Fathers, listen how important your duty is with your child. It is upon you to be able to complete this. If the redemption is neglected at the proper time, the father remains under continuous obligation to arrange for it until after the child becomes 13, when the child assumes the responsibility of redeeming himself. So can a child, firstborn, be able to redeem himself? Father is no longer available? Yes. Now, interesting enough, if the child is born after a female birth takes place, exempt. No, it doesn't count. If the father is not the same place as a child, he may arrange to redeem the child from a Cohen wherever he is. Instead of using the formula, this is my son, he says, I have a firstborn son to redeem. And the Cohen responds with the usual formula. A Cohen is needed to perform the ceremony. Cohens, you see how important your role is? This is very important to have Cohens in the community. They are an honored member of all Jewish communities. This rabbinic scholar, if he's not a Cohen, does not qualify. One should, however, try to secure the service of a Cohen, even though he may not be of the community. Who is a pious person who is familiar with the procedure of the redemption ceremony? It is customary to use 5 silver coins of the basic money or realms. Usually use like silver dollars. They use 5 silver dollars here in the U.S. to be able to redeem. Or 5 Israeli lirot, symbolizing the 5 silver shekels that was prescribed in the Torah at the time of the redemption amount. The ceremony itself is a simple one. The father brings the firstborn before the Cohen and informs him that he has the firstborn of his mother. It's firstborn of his mother. So, in the case of polygamy, where in old times the man would have multiple wives, it would be the firstborn of that wife. So, if all of them had firstborns, you could have a case where you have 4 wives, and each of the wives had a firstborn child birthed from them, so each one would require their own Pidyon HaBen. And yes, that is one rule that still is in the books, but is no longer practiced because of Rabbi Gershom's decree against it, even though that rabbinical takanot has already expired. Rabbi Yosef, of blessed memory, was in favor of reinstituting the idea of polygamy for many, many reasons. I won't go into all of it. You take a look at my video regarding that. The ceremony itself is a simple one. The father brings the firstborn before the Kohen and informs him that he is the firstborn of his mother. The Kohen then asks the father, which do you prefer, to give me your son or to redeem him? Some fathers nowadays would probably say, oh, I'll give you my son. No. They must take the latter option. Redeem my son. Then to redeem him. Then while holding the 5 silver coins, or its equivalent, in his hands, the father says to the following benediction. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav. Remember, all blessings, whether it be for food, whether it be for action, starts the same way. And we continue. Asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav. Now we go into the portion that has to do with this particular mitzvah. V'tzivanu al Pidyon HaBen. So, we say, Blessed art thou, Lord God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandment and commanded us concerning the redemption of the firstborn. He follows this with his benediction of Shehecheyanu. We know what the Shehecheyanu is. We saw it already on page 169. Then after this blessing, he says, Shehecheyanu v'imanu lizman hazeh. The father then turns the money over to the Kohen, and the Kohen takes the money in his hand and passes it over the head of the child, just like they do in Kapara. This is in place of this. The Kohen then puts the money down, raising his hand, and he blesses the child, and he says the priestly blessing that we all know. And this concludes with the blessing over a cup of wine. The full text can be found also in our daily prayer book. And so we finish here the Pidyon HaBen in its ceremony, and the importance that every emerging community have a Kohen accessible to be able to do this in the event or when newborn children are born out of the community. Keep in mind, a child born from a converted mother is the first that basically is firstborn of that mother. This ceremony must take place. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, write me. My name is Rabbi Moshe Otero. My phone number is well known throughout the different mediums. May God bless you, and may all Israel have many firstborn children and children in general. That should be a sechut for everyone who is watching this particular video. Shalom.